comes to treating sick animals, just how far should we go? Should we run every diagnostic test available or put animals through painful surgery? It's a dilemma faced by vets and owners every day, and at its heart lies the question of sentience, because the more sentient an animal, the greater its capacity to suffer, and arguably the greater our duty of care. But what do we really know about animal sentience? Well, for that, we can turn to John Webster, author of Chapter 4 of this book, Sentient Beings, Our Duty of Care. John is a veterinary surgeon, the Emeritus Professor of Animal Husbandry at the University of Bristol, the author of a small library of books, and the father of the 5 freedoms, principles that have shaped animal welfare around the world. In his chapter, John explains that all living things have the most basic level of sentience, the ability to respond to simple stimuli, like light. A step above that is the ability to feel sensations such as heat or pain. The law recognises that all vertebrates and some invertebrates, such as octopi, have nervous systems capable of sensing pain. But most of the animals vets treat show a deeper level of sentience. They can learn from pain or pleasure and change their behaviour accordingly. We see evidence of this across many species, including, of course, dogs, but also elephants, dolphins, bats, and more. But as far as we know, it's only humans who possess the highest level of sentience and cognition, the ability to rationalise what's happening around us and understand its implications for our well-being. So what does that mean for how we treat animals? Well, in farm animal medicine, welfare tends to be viewed collectively, at the herd or flock level. For pets, it's different. We think of them as individuals, and in modern society we often anthropomorphise, ascribing to them our own understanding and fears or hopes for the future, which they simply don't have. In other words, the dog isn't sitting there thinking, this knee operation is going to give me another 10 years running up and down hills chasing rabbits. All the dog feels is pain. As John explains, that can easily be overlooked.
When you go to the doctor, it's just you and the doctor. However, 3 parties are involved in any decision as to how, or indeed whether, to treat a sick animal: the vet, the owner, and the animal itself. And the animal, of course, unfortunately, cannot contribute to this discussion. Now, more and more owners paying high insurance premiums are eager to do anything for their beloved pets, and vets can offer more and more complex and expensive treatments. Now, when owners and vets are on the same side, balance can be heavily loaded in favour of treatment, sometimes at a cost to the welfare of the animal itself.
Unlike treatment or prolonging life, euthanasia in animals carries no such welfare issues. For a dog, which doesn't know that death is coming, there is no suffering in death itself. On the contrary, death is the end of suffering.
Now, the vet's equivalent of the Hippocratic Oath requires us to make, quotes, animal health and welfare, that is to say, quality of life, our first consideration. However, maintaining quality of life is not the same as maintaining life itself. The death of an animal is only a welfare problem for the owner.
So that seems to present a clear-cut argument for ending the life of animals when we can't ease their suffering. But for vets, it's rarely that simple. As John says in his chapter, euthanasia for an old, smelly, incontinent dog suffering from chronic orthopaedic pain must be the right decision in almost every case. But what if the owner is a smelly, old, incontinent man who'll be devastated by the loss of his companion? John argues that the honourable decision would be to let them struggle on together. But is that right? Should the avoidance of human suffering outweigh the prevention of animal suffering? And it gets more complicated still, because it's often impossible to know how much pain an animal is actually in, and the emotional pain caused to an owner is very subjective. What about a child's beloved dog living with a painful condition which can be managed, but not without side effects? Who takes priority then? It's difficult, isn't it? Perhaps the last word on this should go to John.
I believe our duty of care to the health and welfare of pet animals can, in most cases, be met using relatively modest approaches to diagnosis and treatment, and this should be offered to clients as a first option. Owners who wish to spare no expense to do the very best for their beloved pet may be offered more aggressive options on the understanding that they could, at least in the short term, cause the animals further distress.